first to join us will be Liz Bebo, and then also Katherine Creech will be a part of her speech as well. Have you ever thought about the possibility of meeting someone important in a restaurant or maybe at a grocery store? How about in an airport? Do you know what you'd do or say if you did meet that person? Recently, Liz Bebo had such a chance meeting, and this morning you'll have an opportunity to see how she handled it. She'll be speaking from the Competent Communications Manual, Project 7, Research Your Topic, in an unusual 5 to 7 minute presentation titled The Chance Meeting. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Liz Bebo, The Chance Meeting. Okay, so one other little bit switch up here. So I'd also like to introduce Katherine Creech. The setting, an undisclosed airport. The story of how a chance meeting between two women builds a connection, changes a perception, impacts a life, and most importantly, makes a difference. Channeling a woman who has a historical past this morning is Katherine Creech. She'll be working on Project 6, vocal variety, and a very off-the-cuff to unique performance titled The Chance Meeting. Please welcome Katherine Creech, The Chance Meeting. So, pardon me?
Direction, please.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
I'm Greta.
I'm Bob.
Oh, nice to meet you, Bob. That's an unusual name.
It's short, it's a nickname.
Oh,
Do you have a nickname?
I don't have a nickname. My husband called me Etta, but I generally just go by Greta.
Storba is my name, my whole name, but like you, we shortened it, and he calls me Bob.
Oh, I like that. So where are you from, Bob?
Can you not tell where I'm from? I'm from India.
Well, I didn't want to presume.
Yes. And you?
I'm from Alabama.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going?
Well, currently we're heading to Heathrow. So, are you on that same flight?
I am.
Oh, wonderful.
Wow.
So we'll have some time to spend together.
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Tea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Of course. Of course. Married?
I am married.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I am.
And
My husband's name is Martin.
really?
Mm-hmm. How about you?
My husband's name is Mohandas,
Oh.
and we changed his name as well.
And what did you change his name
Well,
to?
we didn't. People changed it. They call him Mahatma, and then they call him Mahatma G, and so I'm Ba, he's G. Makes it easier that way.
I do
Yeah.
like that. My husband was originally born with Michael, but changed his name to Martin.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are the chances?
I know, that's so interesting.
Absolutely.
So any children?
Yes. We have 4 that have survived, all boys.
That's
Under
wonderful.
boy, mom. Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You?
I have 4 children as well. I
Wow.
do. Would you
How
like to
did
see
this
some
happen?
pictures?
Of course. I would
Oh,
love
this
to.
is wonderful. So this is my oldest. This is Yolanda.
Okay.
And my husband absolutely just couldn't stand that name, but I won. So
Okay.
he calls her Yodi.
Okay.
And then our second born son, his name
Yes.
is Martin. He's a third.
Wow.
And then this is my third born,
Yeah.
Dexter. And he's named after the church that my husband's a pastor at.
Oh, wow.
And then our youngest is Bernice, and she's named after my mother.
Wow.
Yeah. How about you?
My husband's not a pastor per se, but he's a very religious person.
Oh.
He's kind of a different religious person. I mean, I don't know if you know, a lot of people in India are Hindu, and at birth he was Hindu, but he kind of adopted a lot of different religions. He studied religion. He decided that there was much about Christianity that he liked, and he meditated like this gentleman over here who talks to us about meditation.
Yeah.
He kind of was a unique spiritual person.
Yeah.
Not a minister, but
Right.
people
But there's some
followed
very,
his beliefs.
yeah, there are some similarities there, absolutely.
Wow.
So let me ask you something then.
Sure.
Do you find that there are challenges being married to an individual that has these differing beliefs and that is very spiritual, not necessarily
Gotta be
Christian based?
kidding. You have to be kidding. when you got married, did you have to promise to do whatever your husband did?
Well, so here's the thing about me. I'm a
Yeah.
pretty unique individual, and one of
Yeah.
the things that I did was I actually changed the vow, and I took out promise to obey,
Uh-huh.
which wasn't done back then. This was back, I was married in 1953, so this was very different.
Well, and I was not married in 1953. I was married at age 13, and he was 12.
So you're older than your husband.
I am indeed, not by much, but
I'm older than my
indeed.
husband too.
And
I
I did promise
did you promise to obey?
Oh, absolutely. And I do most of the time,
Yeah,
when
Yeah.
he's right.
when he's right.
He is always right, yes. He has left me off and on, not the marriage, but traveled many places. He
Yeah.
went to London to go to college to
Mhm.
become a lawyer,
Wow.
yes. And then his first job was in Africa, of all places,
Oh, wow.
in South Africa,
Yeah.
which is where the trouble started.
What's the trouble that started in Africa?
Where do I begin to tell you about the trouble in Africa?
Well, the reason I'm asking is my
Yeah.
husband and I actually traveled to Ghana at one time to celebrate their independence. So this is
Wow.
something that's very near and dear to me.
Well, independence is a lot of what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Do you know who was in India at the time that we're talking about?
No, because you just enlightened me?
Well, the British
Yeah,
kind of
in
took
terms
over
of foreign
India.
power. Yeah, sure,
And
okay.
the Indians were not allowed to. Well, the Indians didn't have many rights, and they had even fewer rights in South Africa.
So it's interesting that you brought up rights because my husband and I are actually in the forefront of the civil rights movement in the United States. So it's incredible that this meeting between the two of us has happened today.
We invented civil rights.
No, and I feel very much that way. In fact, one of the things that my husband and I have worked on is he formed the SCLC, which is the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And together with other leaders, we've been working on through marches and nonviolent protests of really trying to change the equalities in the United States
Non-violent.
for nonviolent, for those that are being discriminated against based on race or gender. So this is incredible.
She invented it, invented nonviolence.
That's phenomenal.
March?
March.
Do you march?
We do march. In fact, this is one of the things. So I don't know if you know this. I haven't shared this with you, but as I was growing up in some of my younger years, I actually was known for my musical talent. So I was quite a singer. I could also play many musical instruments. I actually won a scholarship to the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston, and there is where I met Martin.
Wow.
So I knew that I had to give that up, but one of the things, in order to support him and the movement, but one of the things that I did do help to support him in is I actually put together concerts. And I travel and I share the Montgomery bus boycott and all of these historical things that have happened that have really helped our movement, and I do that through song, and I do that through music. Yeah, so we do march.
Me
You do,
too.
you help as well.
I don't sing.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear me sing. But yes, when he is in prison, has Martin never been in prison?
He has been in prison
my
twice,
gosh.
in fact, yes.
You?
No, I have not been incarcerated.
Multiple times.
Oh,
Me?
wow.
Multiple
Yeah.
times. Ripped away from my children.
Oh.
Ripped away from my husband.
I'm so
Yes, I
sorry.
have been in prison multiple times.
Yeah.
But I do believe in the causes,
Yeah.
of which some are that we believe in a simple life.
Yeah.
My husband, G, helped found a commune near Durban, South Africa, in which we produce our own food, we make all our own clothes, we spin, we are completely independent, we don't want machines making things for us, we make our own things.
Yeah. And that resonates with me because as I was growing up, I was born in 1927, and so I lived on my family's farm and with my siblings, and my father owned a sawmill, and so we did do quite a bit of that on our own. Yeah.
I was born a lot before you. I am a lady, I won't tell you how long before, but it was in the previous century by quite a bit.
Yeah.
I will tell you that.
Yeah.
There were lots of times when I had to lead marches
Mm-hmm.
to get things done. There were many times when he was in prison and I had to take care of our people and inspire our people.
Sure.
And the man, who was already extremely thin, was so popular with people that when he really wanted to get a point across, he would announce, "I'm going to fast. I'm not eating until you, whoever you was, do this.
Yeah.
Until you don't require the Indians in Africa to be registered and fingerprinted." Have you ever had to be registered and fingerprinted?
Yes, in the United States we do get registered and fingerprinted.
But
If you wanna
just
have-
because you are Indian?
Not just because we're, no.
That's what they
Yeah.
were doing in Africa, and it's one of the reasons that I protested while G was in prison.
Yeah.
It happened. Violence, did you have violence in your life?
There's been quite a bit of violence. I think that when you're fighting for a cause and there are those that don't believe in that same cause, that don't, whether it be for fear or ignorance. We've had several instances. Martin receives death threats, so they call the house. When my first was born, Yolanda, someone threw a bomb under our front porch, and we were in the home. Luckily, we were in the back of the home, and so when the home blew up, we were not hurt. My parents were also living in Montgomery at the time, and they begged us to move. They begged us to move in with them. But I would not leave my husband's side. Absolutely not.
We've had very similar things happen. We don't have a house, as it sounds like you do.
Yeah.
We live out in the country, but it sounds like many of the same things have happened
Yeah.
to us. My 4 sons have had that experience.
Yeah.
They have feared for their lives.
Yeah.
Although generally speaking, G thinks that everything should be done peacefully, to do civil disobedience, to kind of force people to bend to what it is he believes is right, not through violence, but through marches,
Yeah.
through boycotts.
Yep.
Does Martin boycott?
So there was actually the Montgomery bus boycott, which I just mentioned earlier. When we first were married, we moved to Montgomery, Alabama. He took the job as a pastor at the Dexter Baptist Church.
That's
Yeah.
your son.
Yeah, that's what we named our son, our third born.
Wow.
And at that time, there was a woman by the name of Rosa Parks sitting in the back of the bus. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Jim Crow laws, but where I'm from, it states that an individual of an African-American background or social status has to actually stand up if a white person or a Caucasian person enters the bus and there's no place to sit.
Who says that?
It's one of those inequalities that we've been living with, yep.
Wow.
And so this is what we're working on, these exact types of inequalities. And so she didn't want to get up, and she really just stated that she was tired. She was tired of having to just give up. And so as a result of that, for 396 days, we boycotted the bus system. And firsthand, I would stare out my living room window, and I would see the empty buses go by. And so that's really when a lot of the violence started and a lot of the threats, but it worked.
Salt.
So,
Salt. We figured we have to buy our salt from the British.
oh,
Well, we decided if we wanted salt, we would get our own salt. We would not buy it from the British. So if we didn't buy their products, then they'd go out of business and they'd leave.
yeah,
Doesn't that make sense?
that does make sense, yeah.
Well, they didn't leave, but we did.
You made it
We went to the
enough of
river
an impact again.
and we got
Yeah.
our own salt and
Mhm.
used our own salt so that it would show them how serious we were about that.
Yeah.
We boycotted a number of other things. As I said earlier, my husband fasted
Yeah.
and we marched. And have you ever heard of the Untouchables?
I haven't heard of the Untouchables, no.
It's a group of people who are very poor, who may be diseased, who live a lower life or considered lower by the British. And my husband felt that was very wrong and that we should do something to help them. So we also worked with people who were untouchable. Do you know how they are identified? By a mark on their heads. You can pretty much see. And most of them are beggars. A lot of them die all over the place.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Plus, the British shoot us.
Yeah.
They shoot lots of us and kill us.
Yeah. And I think that there's been, a lot of that depending on where you are, because it doesn't seem as if there's much of a boundary between the two of us at this point when you talk about folks being killed and threats, and it's I think that, as in all things, if it's something that's important
Last
to you,
boarding call
you work
to
for.
Heathrow.
Wow. You're going to Heathrow.
I'm going to Heathrow, yep, London.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is your husband still alive?
No, actually, my husband was, he was assassinated during one of his, right prior to, excuse me.
Mine too. He was shot.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hug.
Yes. If I leave you with anything, I just want you to know that I loved my husband and I love the movement just as much.
What are the chances that we would have met like this? I'm so glad that we did. Well, maybe we can get our seats changed.
Yeah, we can sit
And
together.
sit together.
Let's continue our conversation.
All right,
Great.
I like that.
Thank you. One hot airport.
Just can't hear it help it here.
Okay, so we'll have 1 minute to vote on the best speaker. Or value.
Give us 2 minutes. Because
2
we have to
minutes?
do tour.
Yes, that's a good point too. So take 2 minutes to complete that, the evaluation.
Very good, very good.